good Tuesday morning to you all. Yes, it's another Tuesday in the neighborhood. October 22nd, 2013. I almost said 1913. 2013. Only 100 years off. But we are indeed in rare form today. It is a Tuesday. It is a Tuesday after an enormous weekend of sports. It's a Tuesday after some upsets, some surprises, some not so big surprises. And we're going to talk about a lot of it. A lot of it has to do with college football. A lot of it has to do with the Dallas Cowboys and their win over the Philadelphia Eagles. And that in its own right, a lot of people are starting to say, well, maybe the Cowboys are putting it together. No, they played two bad teams. They played Washington so far, and they've played Philadelphia. Neither one is that great of a team. I hate to tell you this. We're also going to touch on I'm going to touch on this early, like right now. It's time for Dave to get on his soapbox. It's time for Dave to really wring some necks. Because I'm really sick and tired of hearing some stuff. Every sports talk show right now, today, this instant, has this on their air. And it doesn't matter whether you're listening in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or anywhere else across the country, they're talking about this. This is making national news. And what I'm referring to is a parent in a North Texas town whose team, actually they were in Tarrant County, whose team got beat soundly. They hung a 91 on them. And the parent is using the term bullying when it comes to discussing about what happened during that football game. When you use the word, now, I'm speaking from straight experience here. And for those of you that don't believe what I'm about to say, I'm sorry, but when I was much younger, when we're talking elementary age, we're talking maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade in elementary school, I was bullied. I was picked on. I was kicked around. Meet me at the flagpole after school, you little peepsqueak, and we're going to beat the snot out of you. They called me names. They lowered my self-esteem to God knows where. But this bullying, the word bullying, that one word, is a enormous word. We're seeing it more and more cyberbullying. We're seeing it where, people are anonymously texting and tweeting on others. There's a case going on right now up in North Texas, in Plano, in the suburb of Dallas, where it's actually Collin County, where a young lady who has a mental disorder of some sort. We're talking that when she was born, that some oxygen was deprived from her brain, and yes, it did, cause some damage. Beautiful young lady, though. I've seen pictures of her, but she's picked on by the upper crust, we'll say. In some tweets they say, "We hope you have a seizure and die." Really? Seriously? No, that's bullying. That's bullying. When you are picked on, when you are beat up on, be it verbally or physically, that's bullying. And how do you stand up to a bully? They tell you violence doesn't do anything. Well, maybe so. Maybe so. But when I was bullied, when I was kicked around in elementary school, and I'm serious, I can even tell you the guy's name. I remember this kid. I don't know where he is today, but I remember him. And he was much bigger than me. He was a big child. And he would literally get me on the ground and just pummel me, beat me up. I'd come home all disheveled. My parents would ask what's going on. I'd have to say nothing, because I didn't want to get my parents involved. I didn't want to get the school involved. It got to the point where a coach caught us one day and said, "Enough is enough. Come on in here." And what the bigger kid didn't realize is that I enjoyed watching, not that I ever did it, but I love watching boxing. I bet all of you thought I was going to say kung fu fighting. But I enjoyed watching boxing. I enjoyed watching guys like Muhammad Ali and Ken Norton Jr. and Joe Frazier and all those guys. Jimmy Ellis. And so the coach brought us into the gym, put some boxing gloves on us. I think they had to have been a pound apiece back in those days. Like hitting with a feather pillow. Any case, he puts them on us and tells us, if you guys are going to fight, this is where you're going to fight. You're going to fight inside the gym. And we got a ring of kids around us. Now, if they did this today, that coach would have been fired. We'd all be suspended. We'd be arrested for assault and battery and whatever else. These are two kids going after it with boxing gloves. Not with guns, not with knives, not with verbal barbs, boxing gloves. And I defeated the kid. I hit him 4 times straight up in the face. And he broke down crying. Because I hit him in the nose, made his eyes water up. He was hurting. He quit. And I know violence doesn't do any good to anybody, but at that very moment, that very day in 7th grade, I no longer was bullied. That's me. That's me talking. Now let me tell you about a story out of Aledo, Texas. High school football team plays another. They hang a 91 on them. The parent of the losing squad is putting is wanting to put some sort of charges against the school and the coach and the team and everybody else, and said that was bullying. No, it wasn't. Your team went on a gridiron, played a game, and got beat. And I really hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that ain't the worst beating ever in Texas. Truly. I know for a fact that Thomas Jefferson High School in Dallas got a 99 hung on them. We're talking, I think, around 2004 or 2005, but Thomas Jefferson High School in North Dallas got a 99 hung on them. And yes, before anybody says another word, there is a mercy rule in high school football. You run 12-minute quarters. When the score gets so out of hand, both coaches agree to this, run the clock. Just run it out. Don't stop it for incompletions. Don't stop it for time, for a penalty. Don't stop it for anything. Just run the clock. That's the mercy rule. And let me tell you, during a mercy rule, if you're still hanging 91 or 99 on them, and they're throwing a third string at you, your team is horrible. You suck. Sorry. But the facts are the facts. Because they hung a 91 on you, doesn't make them bullies. Makes them better. And you want to be as good as them? Then you need to find a coach. You need to find a team that when you walk on the gridiron, you can actually play with them. That's the deal. That's the deal. Anything else, and you're misusing the word bully. Nobody on the opposing team, the losing team, got beat up. Nobody on the losing team was taunted. Nobody on the losing team was shamed by the other players. That's bullying. And that, my friends, is the main problem of using that word. Bullying is when an individual is being picked on, not a group, an individual. That's bullying. And if you can't see the difference, if you don't know the difference, if you can't deal with the difference, then don't use the word. You want to know what the word is that happened on that Friday night in Aledo, Texas? You got beat. And you got beat badly. I'm sorry. Come on. Is it bullying when a team hangs a 56 on you? Is it bullying when they hang a 66 or a 77? I've seen those scores this week. Baylor hangs a 71. Is that bullying? No, that's a team beating you. Use your head. Put on your grown-up panties and use your head. Not everybody's going to win a championship. Not everybody's going to get a trophy. Not everybody is all a winner. There are winners and there are losers. Let me explain this to you. Just because, everybody says, well, we need to hug our children and make everybody feel good. I don't disagree with that. I don't. But you also have to teach them life lessons. And life lesson is there's a winner, there's a loser. You don't get a trophy just because you showed up. I got a participant ribbon on field day in school, in elementary school, because I showed up. It was a white ribbon because I showed up. But the guys who won the blue, the red, and the yellow for first, second, and third, they were the winners. Me, I just showed up. I got a ribbon. Really? I got a ribbon. Didn't mean a damn thing to me. I wanted a blue ribbon. I didn't win. I was upset. But I wasn't bullied. I got beat. I wasn't as good as the other kid. I wasn't as good as the other 3 kids. But I showed up. Not everybody's a winner. Not everybody's a loser. You're going to have to pick a side, people. Giving kids today trophies just because they participate. Trophies! Give them a ribbon! They don't have to have trophies. They don't have to have medals just because they showed up. They get it because they won. They get those because they actually were the champion. I'll give you a prime example. In football and in baseball, in professional football and in professional baseball, the division winners, now we're talking like if you played baseball, the National League and the American League, if you win the pennant, you get your ring because you won your division championship. Then you get a World Series ring. That's pretty impressive. But does the loser get a runner-up ring? No, they get their division ring and they're happy. Go on, move on, be happy. Rangers have 2 of them. Cowboys went to 5 Super Bowls. I'm sorry, they went to 8 Super Bowls. I lied. They went to 8 Super Bowls. They won 5. They have 5 rings. The other 3, they have their NFC championship ring. They have 3 NFC championship rings because they won their division. Otherwise, you got your Super Bowl ring. I don't think the NBA gives rings because you're a conference champion. I don't think hockey gives you a ring because you're a conference champion. In fact, I know they don't. Only football and baseball do that. So in that instance, in that capacity, yeah, you got a runner-up trophy. Woohoo! You won your conference, you won your division, you get a ring. You win the championship, you get a ring. The guys don't. The other guys don't get anything. In the Olympics, they give 3 awards. They give a gold, a silver, and a bronze. Even a bronze says you're a champion. Even a bronze says you were the best. Out of the field that you participated in, you got a medal. Everybody else, thank you very much for showing up. Here's a handshake. Be done with you. See you later. Not everybody is a winner. It's a life lesson. And if you're going to sit there and yell at me and tell me, well, that's not good for children, yes, it is. Because I got news for you. If you don't teach the children early on, when they get out into the real world and they're competing for a job and they don't get it, they're going to whine and say, well, but I showed up. I got to the interview. Don't I get something for that? Yes, you get a handshake. Thank you very much for showing up. We'll call you. Don't call us. That's life. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, people, but that's how this works. So your team got beat by 91 points. Okay. But don't use the word bullying, because it's not. It means you just didn't play good enough. And it means that your team is bad. I'm sorry. Truth hurts. Your team was bad. So was that team that Thomas Jefferson put on the field and got beat by 99. They were bad. Thomas Jefferson, though, got their revenge. Let me tell you, in soccer, they beat the snot out of people. But don't sit there and cry about it. It's not going to do anybody any good. You want to be good, get better, practice, get people out there that know what they're doing, get athletes out there that want to play the game. That's probably part of the problem. You got a bunch of kids out there that really don't want to show up and play the game, because if they did, they wouldn't have gotten a 91 hung on them. And other teams just that much better than you. I can't help that. I wish I could, but I can't. When we come back to the Dave Michaels Sports Show, well, the tirade continues. We won't be talking about bullying, though. We'll be talking more about, well, what happened in college football. There were some major upsets. There's some movement in the top 20, in the top 25 for that matter. All that coming your way right here on the Dave Michaels Sports Show. Stick around.
With traffic accidents being the leading cause of teen deaths, it's critical to give your teenage driver as much protection as possible. Locate One Plus uses GPS technology to help parents monitor their teen drivers.
Hello?
Hi, Sharon. Sorry to bother you, but I'm looking for Tiffany. I tried her cell phone and I keep getting her voicemail. Is she with you?
She was, but the girls borrowed the car. Let's see. They just left the movie theater and they're headed home. Should be there in about 5 minutes.
How do you know that?
Oh, it's the Locate One Plus GPS system. I can log in anywhere, my phone, my computer, and I can see where my car is real time, where it's been, how fast it's going. It's amazing. If it's speeding, I will instantly get a text message to my phone.
Locate One Plus. Writing that down right now. Thanks, Sharon.
Hi, this is Dave Michaels. LocateOnePlus.com is the website to help you protect the ones we love most, our children. LocateOnePlus.com, helping parents keep their children safe. LocateOnePlus.com. Are you a true sports fan? I mean the type of fan that will go to great lengths to catch their team on TV. The type of fan that will paint their body, wear their team colors, scream at the TV when the ref blows a call. Are you the type of fan that likes to be with other fans that are just as passionate? Well, how about the Lone Star Grill and Sports Cafe in Richardson? Right off of Plano Road in Arapahoe, a neighborhood sports grill with great area to watch games on NFL Sundays. All you can eat for one price, $8, and you get burgers, brats, and hot dogs. One price all day long, all you can eat. Not to mention all the NFL action you can handle. Lone Star Grill and Sports Cafe. Check them out. Plano Road in Arapahoe and Richardson, the home of the radio show Silver Flash and Blue Thunder with Corey Proctor and Dave Michaels. Thursday nights, 7 to 8 p.m. Come on out and be a part of the crowd. Lone Star Grill and Sports Cafe.
Autumn. The sound of that word conjures up images of leaves changing colors, crisp chill in the evenings, pumpkins, and pigskin. Yep, it's football season once again. And what better way to tailgate than with cooking items from the Pampered Chef? The ease in which you can order and the quality of the products are almost too good to be true. And since it is that time of season when high schools and boosters are looking for ways to raise money, check out Pampered Chef's charity and fundraising. It's much more than just selling wrapping paper or popcorn. Pampered Chef delivers quality products that are used day in and day out for your home. Call Shelley Wiley at 214-808-7402 for more information. Or email her at shellycancook@yahoo.com. Let's bring out the chef in you, the Pampered Chef.
I swear to God, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. But I tell you what, if you're not listening to the Dave Michaels Sports Show, well, you can basically deny that too. I do it every day. And you tell them Bill sent you. Right back here on the Dave Michaels Sports Show for a Tuesday. We're having fun now. You know, if you were watching college ball last Saturday, you were probably as shocked as the rest of us. I know I was. There were some major upsets. Auburn beats Texas A&M at Kyle Field. Really? That never happens. I don't remember that ever happening. But it happened. LSU loses. Florida loses to Mizzou. Vanderbilt. It's usually a doormat. You get Vanderbilt on your schedule and it's like W, hello. No. They beat, and they were at home, they beat the Bulldogs. the last time Vanderbilt beat the Bulldogs, Georgia, I believe it was number 42 was in office. George Bush Sr. Wow. It says a lot. I'm looking at the rankings, BCS and AP. Now they don't agree on a couple of things. First of all, Alabama is agreed. They're number 1, both polls. Number 2, though, in the BCS standings has Florida State. They did a pretty good job over the weekend. Oregon, which played Washington State and beat in those pink helmets. Look more like the Pepto-Bismol Bowl. I know it's about breast cancer awareness. I get that. And I have friends who are battling that disease. I have friends who have conquered that disease. But I am really glad when the 31st of October shows up because we can stop wearing the pink. Sorry. Breast Awareness Week I can live with, but Breast Awareness Month, and really, seriously, I'm aware of breast all the time. There you go. I said it because you're thinking it. I know what you're thinking. You have a dirty mind just like I do. All right. So Alabama's number 1, Florida State number 2 in BCS, but it's Oregon number 2 in the AP. And they flip-flop on those. Ohio State, both 4. Missouri goes to number 5. And here's a surprise for some. In the AP poll, I don't ever remember this school ever being this high in the rankings. Ever. But the Baylor Bears are number 6 in the AP. Now, they're number 8 in the BCS because Stanford and Miami of Florida kind of go there. They kind of flip-flop there. Miami and Florida is still number 7, and Stanford is 8. That's in the AP. Clemson is 9. Tech is 10. Texas Tech, that is. Auburn's number 11 now. UCLA is 12. LSU drops to 13 in both polls. Virginia Tech goes to 14th in the BCS, but it's Texas A&M that dropped from 7 to 14 in the AP. Here's another shocker in the AP. Fresno State jumps to number 15. Virginia Tech is 16, but in the BCS poll, they're 14. Oklahoma's 15. A&M is 16. Oklahoma's 17 in the AP poll. So there's some disparities here. I was thinking that because everybody that was in the top 10 or top 25 did lose, that I would think because of not even playing it down, Texas would move up, and they did get some votes, but they didn't move up. And the reason I say this is because Texas did beat at the time a ranked team in Oklahoma. Texas was unranked. So there's a lot of movement going on, grant you. But I'm just not sure. I'm so glad that we're going to have a playoff system next year. I really am. Because I'm really sick and tired of this other crap. But we're getting there. Slowly. If Papa Joe was still around, I'm talking Joe Paterno, we probably would never have the BCS playoff. And just because Papa Joe didn't like it. Joe Pa thought it was a waste of time. And yeah, I still talk about Joe Pa in a positive way. Speaking of legends, might as well make mention of this now since we're talking about that. Within literally 50 hours, 2 icons in the Houston area passed away. One was O.A. Phillips, you know him best as Bum, and the other was Bud Adams. They had a very strong tie together. Bum worked for Mr. Adams because Mr. Adams was the owner of the Houston Oilers, who later moved that team to Nashville, and they became the Tennessee Titans. But Bum Phillips was the man in the 70s and the 80s. He drafted Earl Campbell out of the University of Texas. And in doing so, he started a trend in Houston where they were no longer a doormat. Not that they really were to begin with. The Houston Oilers actually won an AFL championship back in the day. They did, back in the early 60s. But now it was the AFC and the NFC merger. Houston wasn't always that good. But when Bum came to town, love you blue, man. You watched the Houston Oilers, and even in those days, watching Earl Campbell was magnificent. He was, and unfortunately, if you see Earl today, he is really half the man he used to be because of the pounding he took while playing for Texas and playing for Houston, and at times playing for New Orleans. He got banged up really bad. He barely can walk now. I think I've seen him on a walker, but I know he's in a wheelchair. But Bum Phillips died at the age of 90 a few days back. He said, playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers and losing the AFC Championship and the right to go to a Super Bowl twice, Bum basically said, last year we knocked on the door. This year we banged on it. Next year we're going to kick the sumbitch in. His words. And I don't think he ever got to that point. But the 90-year-old Bum Phillips, the SFA graduate, by the way, Stephen F. Austin, down in Nacogdoches, Texas. He and Mike Mosley. And they've had some other greats, but those are the big names right there. Graduated from SFA. His son Wade was one time a head coach here at Dallas and the defensive coordinator, now for the Houston Texans. And then Bud Adams passed away. He was the owner of the Houston Oilers. And both were, in their own right, great men with great vision and did great things for the city of Houston. And while the Houston Oilers played inside that domed stadium, the eighth wonder of the world known as the Astrodome, they did a fantastic job. And nobody can take that away from them. I got a chance to meet Bum. Pretty much anybody in the media got a chance to meet Bum. And just a genuine, nice guy. Just down home, Texas country. Cowboy hat, cowboy boots. Firm handshake. Just a nice guy. And I can say the same thing about Wade. I mean, he's got a lot of traits of his dad. Other than the fact that he couldn't win in Dallas, other than that first year when he went 13-3. Just saying there. Just saying. But it's the way life goes, I guess. They will be missed. Terribly. Terribly. And real quick, just kind of touching a little bit more on the college football scene. With the invent of the playoff system being put in place in 2014, and it's going to be played at the AT&T Stadium. At least one round is. No, actually, I think the championship game is there. I believe the championship game is there. Either way, I think it's about time that college football got off the stick and did something right, and this is part of it. They're doing something right here. So, that being said, when we come back, I want to touch on, we'll talk a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys because they did have a good win against the Philadelphia Eagles. But you know what? Did anybody watch the Monday night game last night? Did anybody watch the Vikings and the New York Giants, basically the I Don't Care Bowl? There's ugly, and then there's fugly. And that game last night was fugly. It was ugly. It was an ugly game. And we'll talk about that and a whole lot more coming your way right here on the Dave Michaels Sports Show on the North Texas Sports Network. Football fans, now you have something to wear that shows off your team spirit. It's not a shirt. It's not your average hat. This is a Spirit hat. It's shaped like a star, but it also doubles as a beverage and food tray. The Spirit Star hat is unique that not everyone has one, at least not yet, but they are available online at SpiritStarHat.com. That's SpiritStarHat.com. Order yours today so you can have it by game day. And a portion of every purchase is being donated to the Gridiron Heroes Foundation. So wear something cool, help those that forge this great game of football, and cheer on your favorite team, the Spirit Star Hat.
The 78th annual AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic is just 12 months away. Be sure to get your tickets to this American classic by going to the website of the AT&T Cotton Bowl, www.attcottonbowl.com, and reserve your seats for next year's game. What a great gift idea for the sports fan in your family. Enjoy the atmosphere of college football in one of the premier stadiums in the country, Cowboys Stadium in Arlington. the 78th AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic next January of 2014. Don't miss it.
Lone Star. Those two words mean so much to Texans. It's a way of life. It's pride. It means quality. Lone Star State Cigars, they understand all that those words mean. Can buy one of their 4 locations, 2 in Allen, 1 in Plano, and 1 up in Richardson. See what pride and quality and way of life means. Lone Star State Cigars. You can find them on the web as well at LoneStarStateCigars.com. Way of life, the pride, and the quality, all under one banner. The Lone Star. Lone Star State Cigars. Once you come in, you'll understand, partner.
Champion, a word that is used to show the winner of a competition, be it as a team sport or as an individual. Champions are made, not born. Champions stand above the rest. Be a champion to a child that needs the guidance. Mentor a student. A few minutes each day can make the difference in their lives. So volunteer to be a mentor. Change someone's life today. Be their champion. You might just be surprised at how you will win in the end. Mentoring. It's life-changing.
Right back here on the Dave Michael Sports Show. Glad you're with us. By the way, there's some programming changes. I just want to make mention of. Normally, you would have been able to hear us on Thursday afternoons about 4:15 on KCLE 1460 ESPN Radio. Unfortunately, that afternoon show has now been moved. Actually, I think they have taken Ronnie Moore from afternoons and moved him to mornings with Michael Young, not the baseball player, the guy who does talk shows. And my good friend out of Waco, Texas, David Smoke, is doing afternoons now on that station because they have a sister station in Waco, so they're just simulcasting them. So we're not on anymore in the afternoons on Thursday, but we do have a show Thursday night that we'd like for you to be a part of. That's right, you. I'm talking to you over there. You need to come out to the Lone Star Grill and Sports Cafe. That's at North Plano Road and Arapahoe, directly behind some barbecue shop that won't be named because they don't pay the freight. But nonetheless, you can come out, and Corey Proctor and I are going to be out there. Greg Ellis was scheduled to be on the show this week. I'm not quite sure if that's confirmed. If he's not, we'll find somebody else. We always do. Last week we had Mark Colombo. Great show. Go to our archives and listen to that. You talk about a show that literally jumped the rails of the track and went somewhere else. I'm still trying to play catch up from that show. But anyway, the two programming notes there. Not going to be on the air anymore with 1460, but we still have Silver Flash and Blue Thunder. Come on out to Lone Star Grill and Sports Cafe. That's every Thursday night with Corey Proctor, myself, and a special guest. We will have fun. We always do. On Thursday nights, we always have fun. We have a blast. Can't say enough about the guys that come out. They have been a tremendous, tremendous free-for-all. So all of that. Hey, over the weekend also, this past Sunday, up in Allen. Well, I'll tell you what. Before we talk about the Allen Americans, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's get into the Cowboy game since we just talked about Silver Flash and Blue Thunder, because the X's and O's really do matter to some. Not to many, but to some. And 17-3 was the final score up in Philadelphia. Tony Romo and company, they won their second game in a row. They haven't done that all year. So how did this game become different than any other game? Well, because you're playing against Nick Foles, you're not playing against Michael Vick. That makes a big difference. It was supposed to be this up-tempo game that Philadelphia was doing, the fastest game on turf or whatever it was. And I'm sorry. I didn't see anything in Philadelphia that was worth a damn. The Cowboys still have not shown me everything that I think they have the potential to doing. However, I'm sticking to my gun, and I'm saying they're no better than 8-8 because they still have a lot of season to go. And for 7 games, yeah, you've done pretty well, guys. You're number one in the NFC East. Wait a minute, you're 4-3. You're a game up on Philadelphia, a couple of games up on New York, and a lot of games up on, a couple of games up on Washington, and a lot of games up on New York. Beating the Washington Redskins the week before, the Sunday night before, proved to me that you had some of the phases all put together and it looked good, including special teams. This past week in Philadelphia, I didn't see much that was going to excite me. You still don't have a running game. Joseph Randall's a great backup, but I mean, he's not DeMarco Murray. DeMarcus Ware is still out, and he missed his first game in forever. You're bringing guys in that were on the practice squad. You're bringing guys in that were in grocery stores working as sackers somewhere. This football team is still not, it's not gelled. There's nothing on this football team for the Dallas Cowboys right now that tells me that this is primary real estate. It's just there's still something missing. And if by chance you find it in a free agent, if by chance you find it off of a waiver, then good on you. And bring them into the facility, get them trained up, get them ready, and put them out on the field and see if they're an impact player. But right now, I don't know of anybody that's an impact player. I personally haven't seen it. I'm grateful for the win. Don't get me wrong. You know, a win is a win. I'll take that. But there's still a lot of question marks there. And I'm not quite sure how they can fix that. And speaking of fixing, okay, Minnesota Viking fans, and I know I've got one that lives here in Dallas, Todd the Damn Viking. I gave him that title. There used to be a guy here in Dallas called Paul the Damn Viking, but now I give it Todd the Damn Viking. You get Josh Freeman from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's in your facility for 14 days, and he comes out in the Meadowlands, and he gets smoked. And I know, and I'm saying this because this is what I observed. I observed a guy at quarterback that wasn't comfortable with the receiving squad. I saw a guy who's, because a lot of those routes are timing routes, was off time. I saw the guy get picked off a couple of times. I saw him get rushed. I saw him get hit. I saw him get sacked. And I'm sorry, but it was an ugly game. And let me tell you something. Giants winning doesn't mean squat because the Giants played a bad team. I mean, the Giants have already lost to the Cowboys. They ain't that great of a team. Not that bad of a team, but they're not that great of a team. And I was just a little bit taken by the fact that New York going into the game was 0-6. It could have been 0-7. Easily. Could have been 0-7. But they played a worse team than them. They got beat. The Vikings did. By a bad team. The New York Giants. Who are now 1-6. But if you watch that game, pardon me while I say this, but that was fugly. That was the ugliest football game I had seen in a long time. And I was not impressed by either team. I was not impressed by anybody. I was certainly not impressed, but, you know, they say, well, Adrian Peterson is the Viking team. Well, Adrian's only as good as what he's got around him, and he ain't got that much around him. Literally, he doesn't have that much around him. Their one win was in London, you know, when they went to England, and they won a game there. It just, I don't know. They played the Steelers, which, by the way, were a bad team then. Still are now. A lot of bad teams this year. Jacksonville's bad. Pittsburgh's bad. The Vikings are bad. The Giants are bad. There's just a lot of bad teams this year. Nobody's coming out and running away with anything. So, definitely not in the East. Not in the NFC East, at least. Nobody's running away. The best team right now is Kansas City. That's, to me, you want to talk about a major turnaround. Last year they won 2 games. 2 out of 16. And they get a new coach, Andy Reid, who comes from the Philadelphia Eagles, and he brings an attitude with him. And the attitude is, guys, I'm sorry, but we're going to win. And that's what they're doing. And yeah, they might have won 2 games by 1 point each. That was the Cowboys and the Houston Texans. But seriously, a win is a win. And they're undefeated. And there's not a lot. In fact, there are no more teams that can say that. Because the Denver Broncos lose to the Indianapolis Colts. And what? I got to tell you something. If you watch the Sunday night game with Indianapolis and Denver, first and foremost, I have said this before, Peyton Manning is a class act through and through. But what a great ovation that the Indianapolis fans gave him. What a response from Peyton Manning to the fans. When the cameras were up close on him, he was mouthing the words, thank you. He was touching his heart. He knew exactly the admiration that was given to him and his admiration for the fans. That's a class act all the way around. I enjoy watching him play. I'm not a fan of the team he plays for. I like to see the Denver Broncos lose every so often. But nonetheless, Peyton Manning's a guy. He's a good guy. I equate Peyton Manning, and as good as he is, I equate him to the same great quarterbacks from years gone by. And I know everybody's rolling their eyes. Oh, God, here goes Dave with the history lesson. Well, it's true. If you don't know where you came from, how the hell you know where you're going? But his gracefulness, his great graceful way of saying thank you to the fans, I kind of equate a little bit to Franz Tarkington. I equate it a little bit to Joe Montana. I equate it a little bit to John Brody. Boy, there's a name. Darryl LaMonica. Yeah, even Roger Staubach. Dandy Don Meredith. There's a lot to be said about that. So we're grateful that there are guys that wear the uniform that know that they are appreciated by the fans, and more so they're appreciated by their teammates and the other team. And after the game showed a great deal of poise as every Colt player came over to Manning, shook his hand. Most of them probably said, hey, bud, we miss you. We could use you. But Andrew Luck's doing his job. In fact, he did it so well, he beat the Denver Broncos, and he gave them the first loss of the year. I thought it was funny that Vontae Davis for the Colts, when interviewed, said, we prepared very hard for Tom Brady, and he forgot that he was actually playing Peyton Manning. Boy, did he take a beating on Twitter. He just did. That's all right. He was caught up in the moment. It happens. Hell, my mother used to call me the dog's name all the time. I got lower billing than the dog. She would go through the entire family's names before she got to mine, and the dog was above me. I'm just saying. And while I'm on the subject of family, I need to say thank you publicly to I was going to say something else, but I'm just going to say my sister, who's a teacher now out at Skyline High School, which for some know, some don't. That I went to high school there, so did she. We're alum of Skyline, and she is now a teacher out there after 30 some odd years of being a travel agent and working in the private sector for so many years. Last week, she was kind enough to ask me if I would come out to her class at Skyline High School and talk to her class on sports management and entertainment and hospitality. But I think it was strictly sports management. In any case, she invited me to come out to talk to 21 high school juniors. Before I got there, she warned me, they're a little tough. They're a little disobedient. They're disrespectful. I think was the word she used. I get there. Yeah, they're kids. But they were actually, I was impressed with the fact that, a couple of things. One, I was impressed that they showed some sort of attendance to me. They paid attention. But I was actually blown away by a couple of the questions. We did a little Q&A, and I was actually blown away by one of the kids' questions. So much so that I told my sister, give the kid an A. I don't care what he does for the rest of the year. That was a great question. That question deserved it. He asked me an interesting question. The question was, since I've been in the broadcasting business, the radio business specific, since I've been in the business, what have I seen as the major changes? That was his question. I was blown away. Great question. I gave him a good, solid answer. I didn't fluff it up. I didn't play the politic game. I told it like it was. And but I was impressed by that young man's question. And there were a couple of other good questions. One question in particular I had a giggle at. There was a young man in the back of the classroom asked me if I've ever broadcast soccer. And the way I feel about soccer, or football as they call it over in England, is that you have to do it with a British dialect. And, there's no way of doing soccer here in the States without sounding like your name should be Nigel, and you should be having tea during the match, and they play on a pitch, not a field, and it's all that. So I kind of joked around with that. I didn't do many voices for him. I promised I wasn't going to do it. I promised my sister I wasn't going to do it. So, in any case, but I want to say thank you to, she goes by Phyllis Wiley. I've known this woman my entire life, and for every day that I've been alive, I have never called that woman Phyllis. She's Shelley. Sorry. Her name is Shelley, but at Skyline, they referred to her as Phyllis. So I want to thank Phyllis Wiley for inviting me to come out to Skyline and talking to the class, and I had a great time. And I'd like to do it again sometime and talk to the class again. And if nothing else, teach them, if you're going to do this for a living, do it because it's a passion, not because you're going to get rich, because let's face it, boys and girls, none of us get rich on this. Speaking of getting rich, we got to pay the bills. Isn't that a nice segue? Anyway, we're going to be right back. We got a lot more coming your way right after this on the Dave Michaels Sports Show on the North Texas Sports Network.
You're in business. You have your business plan, and you have executed it. However, you're missing something that will drive business to you. What could it be? Well, it might be your website. That's right. You realize you have the domain name. You know you have the information on it, but is it really connecting to your buying public? Hi, I'm Dave Michaels. I know about small business and I know about marketing. And the most important part of promotion and marketing your business is getting the word out. Your website is an extension of your marketing. So let Business Computers help you. They're Texas born and Texas raised, and they know what it takes to help businesses be successful. Give them a call and let them be a part of your team. Business Computers Incorporated, 713-229-0030. That's 713-229-0030. Business Computers Incorporated. Find them on the web at businesscomputersincorporated.com. Business Computers Incorporated. Hi, this is Dave Michaels.
And this is Doc Morefield.
Join us for Richardson ISD Sports. We cover all 4 high schools in the RISD.
Catch football, basketball with the Berkner Rams, the Lake Highland Wildcats, the Richardson Eagles, and the Pierce Mustangs. We have it all for you right here on Dave Radio Productions.
All you have to do is log on to davradioproductions.com and click to listen to any game live or archive. So come on, what are you waiting for?
If you missed the game, that's all right. You can go back and listen to any broadcast all year long on davradioproductions.com. The one place to hear it all.
Dave Radio Productions. Our business is to drive business to your business.
Remember when you were in high school? The after-the-game parties, the dances that were held in the school gym? Well, those days are long gone. Just like saddle Oxfords and bobby socks, but the partying, well, that continues. A reminder that it is still against the law to drink while underage. There's a reason why lawmakers put the legal age to drink at 21. It's to protect you from yourself. It's hard enough that adults drink and drive. Why put yourself in danger? Don't drink and drive. It could save a life. Yours. A message from the Ad Council and Dave Radio Productions.
Right back here on the Dave Michaels Sports Show. Winding it down. Man, it's the fastest hour in radio, I'll tell you what. And I try to be hip to be square. Speaking of being hip, let me tell you a little story. last Sunday after the Cowboy game. If you're a hockey fan, there are certain, and I was going to talk about this anyway, traditions and all that. The Allen Americans, which is a minor league hockey team up in Allen, Texas, they play at the Allen Event Center. Last year, May of 2013, in overtime, they beat the Wichita Thunder for the CHL Championship, also known as the President's Cup. In the NHL, we call it the Stanley Cup. And this minor league team, this little minor league team, won the championship. The first one in the 4-year franchise history. And to kick off the 5th anniversary season, on Sunday they raised the banner. In fact, they raised both banners. The banner that was the Governor's Cup, which was the best season record. And then they won the President's Cup in a 7-game match and an overtime win over the Wichita Thunder at home, on the home ice. And Sunday night they raised their banners. They also gave out, for the players that were still remaining with this team, their championship rings. Including my buddy, my pal, my friend, Tommy Daniels. And Tommy got his ring. And there's a small fraternity of guys that can say they've got championship rings. He got his. And good on him. And I told him then, and I will tell him forever, don't ever take that thing off. I don't care. Don't ever take that ring off. You make sure that people know that you, my friend, are a champion, or champion quality, champion caliber. I wear a ring on my hand. It's the 2011 Texas Collegiate League Championship. We were the broadcasters for a team called the Capel Copperheads, and they were kind enough to allow us to have rings, the broadcasters. So I've got my ring, and if there it is. They were kind enough to let us buy them or get them. I think we had to pay for them because of the taxes and all that. But nonetheless, so wear it. Be proud of it. It's a great tradition, by the way, getting your ring. And other traditions are great too. I wanted to touch on a little bit of a tradition that this is kind of a thing it's not a pet peeve. It isn't. It's just an awareness. And the awareness is simple. I just made mention that I was at Skyline High School this past Thursday, talked to a class. Skyline has changed some of the traditions that were instilled, and I'm certain other high schools, and in some cases some colleges, have changed and have new traditions. There's nothing wrong with that. But the old traditions are there because they're, well, that's what the word means, tradition. And I understand progress. I understand that you change things. I mean, touching the rock at Clemson, that only started a few years back, probably within the last 20 years. I know the 12-gauge shotguns that they use at Oklahoma when they score a touchdown or do a kickoff, that's only within the last 10 or 15 years. Though the University of Texas has always had Smokey, which is their little cannon, their 12-gauge cannon. They've had Big Bertha, which is their big bass drum. SMU still has the best-dressed band in the land. There, at one time at SMU, they were called 99 Guys and a Doll because the band was all made up of men, and there was only 100 members. But they are still, and to this day, by the way, they're the only college band that their trumpet section, I'll get it out, their trumpet section, easy for me to say, plays in, for those of you that are old enough to remember this man's name, Desi Gillespie. They play his upturned horn, his upturned bell, and which is kind of cool. And I'm probably the only idiot that will ever make that notion about what the band plays. Sorry. It's interesting. Not everybody can play that damn thing. It's not an easy instrument. Ask the kids that play it. But there are great traditions, and at Skyline, they've changed the tradition. They've added their own little flair to it, but I'm not real certain where it comes from. Traditions start because of something. And I'm not sure who started this at Skyline and for what purpose they started this at Skyline. But the fight song at Skyline High School is the same fight song that's played at, and he's going to make me say it, isn't he? He's going to make me say it. The Ohio State University. I hate that. The. Really? Seriously? The? Any case. It's called Across the Field. And some of you know the words. Hit the team across the field, show that we are here, start the earth reverberating with a mighty cheer. Right? But at Skyline, they started some sort of tradition that is the cavalry charge at the beginning of that. And for those of you that are not familiar with cavalry charge, it's right? The bugle call. I know that was sorry. It didn't sound right. Is that better? Any case, and then they start the fight song. I don't know where that came from. I don't know what started it. I don't know what's it about. And nobody seems to know either at Skyline. Even including the band director. He just said, well, this is the way it was. Well, no, the way it was is we didn't have it to begin with. Skyline's got some cool tradition. In fact, the alma mater at Skyline, very unique sound. It does not sound like any other alma mater that I know of. And interestingly enough, the woman who wrote it used some symbolisms in it, of which, here goes my trivia questions, there is a Westminster chimes at the beginning. Bum, 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 bum. And then you hear 3 chimes at the end of that Westminster chime. The significance of that is, before Skyline was built, before the building itself was built, classes were held across the street at an orphanage called Buckner's Children's Home. And at Buckner, they had classrooms, and every hour on the hour you would hear the Westminster chime. Well, the 3 chimes was the end of school day. Hence, they incorporated that into the school alma mater, and that became their tradition. Now you know more about Skyline you really give a damn about. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. But I think traditions are cool. I think traditions everywhere. The tradition of the trophies at the end of games. They're handed to the players. And the Stanley Cup is probably the best tradition I've ever seen, where each person, including the captain, he's the first one to get the cup. Then he hands it to the next person, and it's always interesting to see who that next person is that gets to hold the cup. You're the second man to hold the cup because your captain is always the first. But then you have to pass it on to someone else, and it's really interesting to see who that second person is. And it's no different than when they did it for the minor league here in Allen when they won the President's Cup. Jason Deitch, who was the captain at the time, he skated around, then he handed that trophy to someone else, and it was always interesting to see who that second person is. The Super Bowl trophy is always handed to the coach and the owner, and then they hand it to usually their quarterback or their MVP or whoever that should be, and that's always fun as well. It's fun. The traditions have their reasons. So, I'm just saying. And the tradition of this one is we got to put it in the history book. It's the fastest hour on radio, man. It goes by so quickly. Thursday night, Lone Star Grill and Sports Cafe. It's Silver Flash and Blue Thunder. Don't forget to come out there. Friday night, high school football. We have the Berkner Rams playing host to the W.T. White Longhorns out at Wildcat Ram Stadium in Lake Highlands. So all that coming your way this week. And next week, we'll do it all again right here on Tuesday morning. So same bat time, same bat channel. You stick around. We enjoyed it. For all of us, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. So long for now.